Chapter 2762. How did this happen? Lu Ming's heart tightened and his face turned pale. He was worried that Mulan's and Huang Ling would be in danger. Of course, he knew Mulan and Huang Ling's feelings for him. However, the two of them were stubborn people. They must have seen Lu Ming's cultivation increasing and did not want to be left behind. Hence, they went out to train. When did this happen? Qiu Yu also revealed an anxious expression. She had never heard of this matter before. About half a year ago. During this period of time, we have been fighting. We did not tell anyone about it. We were planning to report to the ancestor of techniques after this and let him send experts to search for them, Long Chen said. Which forest did they go to? Lu Ming asked. Perpetual Night Forest, Long Chen said. Perpetual Night Forest. Lu Ming took out a jade charm. This jade charm was the map of Jingtian Star. Lu Ming had the map of Jingtian Star a long time ago. He injected his divine power into the jade charm and a map appeared in the air. It was the complete map of Jingtian Star. Perpetual Night Forest is here. Long Chen pointed to a place on the map. All right. Lu Ming nodded and flew into the air. He then executed the Nine Heavens Kunpeng skill and rushed towards Perpetual Night Forest at a shocking speed. Perpetual Night Forest was a famous place on Jingtian Star. There were many desolate beasts in this place but their levels were not high. It was suitable for people below the empty god realm to train and train. Huang Ling and Mulan's had gone missing from this place. Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. His divine power formed a kunpeng on the surface of his body. With a flap of his wings, he was 90,000 miles away. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at Perpetual Night Forest. Lu Ming did not hesitate and rushed into Perpetual Night Forest. He extended his spiritual senses and scanned his surroundings. The Perpetual Night Forest was huge, but with Lu Ming's speed, he quickly made a round trip. When the desolate beasts in the Perpetual Night Forest sensed Lu Ming's aura, they all cowered in fear, not daring to show themselves. Soon, Lu Ming searched the entire Perpetual Night Forest. He even searched the surrounding area. However, he didn't find any traces of Mulan's and Huang Ling. How could this be? Could it be that they have already been eaten by the wild beasts? Thinking of this, Lu Ming's heart trembled, unable to accept this result. No, let's search again. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and continued to search more carefully. That is, a few hours later, Lu Ming's expression suddenly changed as he made a discovery. With a flicker, Lu Ming rushed into the Perpetual Night Forest and landed beside an ancient altar. This altar was indeed extremely ancient, and it was difficult to estimate what era it came from. It was made of mortar, and there were ancient symbols on it. Most importantly, on this altar, Lu Ming could feel the aura of Mulan's and Huang Ling. What altar is this? Lu Ming sized it up carefully. Don't look. This is a teleportation array platform. In his sea of consciousness, the voice of the quantifying word formula resounded. Teleportation array platform? Why does it look like this? Lu Ming was surprised. It wasn't like he hadn't seen a teleportation array platform before. The teleportation array platform now didn't look like this. Moreover, it was made of mortar, which made it look too crude. It's normal that you don't recognize it. This is a very ancient teleportation array platform. It can even be considered as the earliest teleportation array platform. Nowadays, there are very few of such teleportation array platforms. Moreover, this teleportation array platform is already damaged. The quantifying word formula said. Damaged? That's right. If I'm not wrong, your two friends must have been teleported away from this teleportation array platform. The quantifying word formula said. Hearing this, Lu Ming was slightly relieved. Mulan's and Huang Ling were only teleported away, which at least proved that they were still alive. Do you know where this teleportation array platform teleports to? Also, can this array platform be repaired? Lu Ming asked again. It can't be repaired. In today's world, there are very few people who can repair this kind of ancient array platform. Moreover, it's hard to know where they have been teleported to. There's a great possibility that they have embarked on an ancient starry sky road. The quantifying word formula said. Ancient starry sky road? Lu Ming was puzzled. The ancient starry sky road is a starry sky road opened by the ancestors of the primitive universe. I wonder where it leads to. Those who set foot on it may encounter a great crisis or may obtain a great opportunity. Everything depends on their own luck. The quantifying word formula said. I see. Lu Ming gave a long sigh, feeling helpless. Everything depended on Mulan's and Huang Ling's luck. There was nothing he could do to help. Lu Ming returned to the Just Sky Army headquarters with a heavy heart. He told Autumn Moon, Long Chen, and the others about what had happened. Long Chen and the others also sighed. They hadn't expected to encounter such a thing. Following this, Lu Ming sat in the Just Sky Army headquarters and gave pointers to Lu Shenhuang, Autumn Moon, and his disciples. His disciples, Xiang Xiang and Ouyang Moli, also made rapid progress in their cultivation and displayed great talent. In fact, those who could rise up in a minor world wouldn't be lacking in talent. Once they came to the primitive universe, they would erupt. Lu Ming planned to bring Lu Xiangxiang, Ouyang Moli, and the rest to the Kongxian sect to cultivate after he had established a firm foothold in the sect. With good resources, their cultivation progress would be faster. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. In this month, the Just Sky Army had completely controlled the territories of the Serene Hall, the Walkabout sect, and the Blood Red Society. They had become a powerful force in the vicinity. However, there were close to 1,000 forces in the chaotic galaxy. Forces were destroyed and new forces were established. The destruction of the Serene Hall and a few other forces didn't cause much of a stir. A month later, the ancestor of techniques returned to the Just Sky planet and met with Lu Ming. Lu Ming, did you see Yuexin in the Kongxian school? The ancestor of techniques asked Lu Ming with a hopeful look in his eyes. I knew it. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. He pondered for a moment and said, Senior, I did see Senior Yuexin, but, at this point, Lu Ming paused for a moment. But what? The ancestor of technique's heart sank as he asked. Senior Yuexin already has a family. Lu Ming immediately told the ancestor of techniques what he knew. After the ancestor of techniques heard it, he fell silent. After a while, he sighed and said, Actually, I should have expected it. With my talent, how could I be worthy of Yuexin? It's good that she has a family. This is good, this is good. The ancestor of techniques muttered to himself. His eyes were filled with loneliness as if he had aged a lot in an instant. Senior, are you okay? Lu Ming asked with concern. He could understand how the ancestor of techniques felt. The woman he loved had married someone else. That kind of feeling was definitely not good. I'm fine. The ancestor of techniques smiled and said, This is good too. I can take good care of the Just Sky Army in the future. Let's go, Lu Ming. Let's go to the Dark Underworld planet and have a look. Okay, let's go. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Chapter 2763. Planet Dark Underworld was the first planet with life that Lu Ming had seen in the primitive universe. The Heavenly Realm and Primordial Realm's Fiend God World was also attached to Planet Dark Underworld. Lu Ming had wanted to take a look at it for a long time. Previously, Planet Dark Underworld had been under the control of the Serene Hall. Now, it had become the territory of the Righteous Army. Planet Dark Underworld was not far from Righteous Planet. Soon, they arrived at Planet Dark Underworld. They landed on a mountain peak. There were already some people waiting on this mountain peak. Ancestor of Techniques, when they saw the Ancestor of Techniques, they immediately bowed to him. Come, let me introduce you. This is Lu Ming. He's the one who killed Kong Ji, Situ Haonan, and the others. The Ancestor of Techniques pointed at Lu Ming and introduced him. These people looked at Lu Ming with curiosity and shock in their eyes. Song Imo, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He saw Song Imo in the crowd. Back then, when he first came to Planet Dark Underworld, he had been chased by people from Yuluo Hall. Fortunately, Song Imo saved him and he managed to escape. Later on, Song Imo even instructed him to look for people from the Righteous Army. Hence, Lu Ming left Yuluo Hall and headed to the Righteous Army. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, how many years has it been? I didn't expect you to have reached such a level. You killed Kong Ji with a flip of your hand. How satisfying, how satisfying. Song Imo laughed. Brother Song Imo, has the seal on your body been removed? Lu Ming asked with a smile. Yes, the seal was removed with Kong Ji's death. Song Imo smiled and said with a relaxed expression. Lu Ming, let me introduce you. These people came from the heavenly realm. They were all controlled by the Serene Hall. Now, they are free. Song Imo pointed at the people behind him and introduced them. In the past, those who had cultivated to the level of demigod in the Heaven Realm's primordial realm would leave the Heaven Realm's primordial realm and come to the untainted universe. However, without exception, they would be controlled by the Serene Hall and a restriction would be placed on their souls. Now that Kong Ji was dead, the restriction would naturally be broken. Greetings, seniors, Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. You're too polite, the younger generation will surpass us in time. Our heaven realm is really lucky to have such a genius. The others cupped their fists and said. Let's go and take a look at the heaven realm, the ancestor of law said. Everyone's eyes shone with hope. They were all from the primordial realm of the heaven realm, but they had been away for countless years and had never returned to see it. Naturally, they were looking forward to it. Everyone flew towards the entrance of the heaven realm. Soon, they arrived at the entrance of the heaven realm. Looking at the familiar place, Lu Ming sighed with emotion. However, it was a pity that Lu Ming could not enter the heaven now. Lu Ming was too strong now. His aura was strong and his divine power was terrifying. As for the heaven realm, it was just a small world. If Lu Ming were to enter, he might be able to tear apart the small kiliacosm or even shatter it if he were to release a wisp of aura or divine power. Only those below level 3 empty god realm could enter the small world. Or, when one's cultivation had reached an extremely high level, he could perfectly control every single trace of his or her chi, every single trace of his or her divine power. That way, he or she could also enter a small world. Now, Lu Ming could not do it. I can't go in. If you want to go in and take a look, then go in. The ancestor of law said. I'll go in and take a look. I'll go too. Suddenly, many figures flew towards the entrance of the heaven realm and disappeared into the heaven realm. Not long after, those people came out again. Luckily, everything is normal inside. It's just that there's a lack of people. Someone said. Lu Ming and the ancestor of law nodded. Back then, most of the living beings in the primordial realm of the heaven realm had been brought out. Naturally, there was a lack of people. They prepared to return to the Jingtian army and let those who wanted to return to the primordial realm of the heaven realm to stay. Although the cultivation conditions in the primitive universe were many times better than the primordial realm of the heaven realm, there were still some who missed home and wanted to go back. After staying for a while, they left and returned to the Jingtian army. After that, Lu Ming stayed on planet Jingtian for a few months to guide Lu Xiang, Ouyang Moli, and the others in their cultivation. With the resources provided by Lu Ming, everyone's cultivation improved greatly. A few months later, Lu Ming left planet Jingtian with Autumn Moon and headed towards the Kongxian school. More than a month later, they returned to the Kongxian school. If it were other disciples of the Kongxian school, they would not be able to bring in disciples other than the Kongxian school. However, Lu Ming had the golden token given by Longhaoshan, so there was no problem. After returning to the Kongxian school, Lu Ming returned to his original residence in the outer sect area. Lu Ming is back. As soon as Lu Ming returned, the news of his return spread throughout the outer sect. Today, Lu Ming was simply a legend in the outer sect. Back in the Yulong's secret territory, 9 of the top 10 empty god list teamed up and broke through to the true god realm. However, they were still no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming's battle record was simply a legend. In less than a day, Hua Quan came to find Lu Ming. Elder Hua Quan, congratulations on becoming an inner sect elder. Upon seeing Hua Quan, Lu Ming cupped his fists and congratulated him. This was because Hua Quan's attire was different. Moreover, from the identity token hanging on his waist, he knew that it was not the identity token of an outer sect elder, but an inner sect elder. Lu Ming, you too. I'm here to congratulate you. Now that you've been promoted to an inner sect disciple, you can move into the inner sect area now. Hua Quan laughed out loud. I've been promoted. Lu Ming muttered. This was within his expectations. Now that he had broken through to the true god realm, he naturally could not stay in the outer sect. It was normal for him to be promoted to an inner sect disciple. This was good too. In the future, he would not need to rely on a gold token to enter the inner sect. Lu Ming, follow me. Once the procedures are done, you can stay in the inner sect. Hua Quan said. Elder Hua Quan, I have a friend who wants to cultivate with me. Lu Ming pointed at Autumn Moon and said. Hua Quan looked at Autumn Moon and smiled. This is simple. I'll help her with the procedures. In the future, she will be a disciple of the Kongxian school. After that, Lu Ming and Hua Quan followed Hua Quan to complete the procedures. After exchanging tokens, Lu Ming became an inner sect disciple and received a spacious courtyard in the inner sect area. The cultivation environment here was naturally better than the outer sect area. Autumn Moon, you're already a demigod. Next, you'll break through to the empty god realm. I'll bring you to the Holy Vein Tower to cultivate. Over there, you'll be able to break through to the empty god realm quickly. Lu Ming said to Autumn Moon. Yes, young master. Autumn Moon nodded her head obediently. After that, Lu Ming brought Autumn Moon to the Holy Vein Tower to cultivate. The news of Lu Ming becoming an inner sect disciple slowly spread in the inner sect area and caused a stir. Lu Ming was just a disciple who had just entered the sect. In just a few years, he had been promoted to an inner sect disciple. This cultivation speed was shocking and it was hard not to attract attention. Various factions in the inner sect area were discussing Lu Ming and paying attention to Lu Ming. Chapter 2764. A group of people gathered in a luxurious courtyard in the inner area. Surprisingly, Huang Wen was among this group of people. That Lu Ming is advancing at a terrifying speed. It's only been a few decades and he's already an inner disciple. A young man said in shock. He's a monster. When he grows up, he'll be a threat to the saint's position. We must get rid of him. Huang Wen gritted his teeth. Huang Wen, I heard that you and Lu Ming have a grudge. Because of this, Lu Ming killed many people from the Floating Light faction when he was in the outer area. Is that right? Someone looked at Huang Wen. These people were all from the Fuko Seiko faction and were experts in the inner area. That's right. Huang Wen nodded. Since there's a grudge, we must get rid of him as soon as possible. Send someone to keep a close eye on Lu Ming's movements. As soon as he leaves the Kongxian school, send someone to get rid of him. A young man looked at Huang Wen. Okay. Huang Wen nodded. A cold murderous intent flashed in his eyes, but there was a trace of fear in the depths of his eyes. Lu Ming's growth was too shocking, and it made him fearful. In another luxurious courtyard in the inner area, a group of people gathered together as if they were waiting for someone. Among them was the deacon of the outer area, Yu Zhong. These people were all from the Tenho Seiko faction. The saint is here. Suddenly, someone shouted. As soon as the voice fell, a few figures floated down from the sky. The leader was a handsome young man in luxurious clothes. He exuded a noble aura from head to toe. This person was the leader of the Tianhong faction, the Tianhong Saint. He was one of the 5 great saints of the Kongxian school. The Kongxian school had a total of 5 saints and 2 saintesses. He could be said to be one of the strongest among the disciples and had the potential to take over the position of the Kongxian school's sect master. In the Kongxian school, one could not become a holy son or holy daughter just because one could control a holy son or holy daughter. Controlling the holy divine power was only the most basic requirement. It also depended on one's cultivation, combat strength, and so on. Only when one met these requirements could one become a holy son or holy daughter. In order to become a holy son or holy daughter, one's cultivation had to at least reach the heavenly God realm. Greetings, Saint. Le Zhong and the others immediately bowed respectfully. No need for formalities. I just came out of seclusion. Why are you looking for me? The Tianhong saint said. Holy son, it's because of an outer sect disciple. No, he's already an inner sect disciple now. A young man replied. A person who just became an inner court disciple? The Tianhong saint looked puzzled. Did a person who had just become an inner sect disciple need to report to him? Holy son, this person is a monster. His talent is shockingly strong. He has only joined the sect for a few decades, but he has already become an inner disciple. Moreover, his combat strength is shockingly strong. Le Zhong stepped forward and described Lu Ming's performance during this period. After hearing this, the Tianhong saint frowned. This person is arrogant. Our Tianhong faction invited him to join us from the beginning, but he ignored us. I think he's very ambitious and wants to form his own faction in the future to compete for the position of sect master. Many people from our Tianhong faction died in his hands, including Ying Tsang. Le Zhong continued. Ying Tsang is dead. The Tianhong saint's eyes flashed, and a cold murderous intent exuded from his body. Ying Tsang was ranked 4th on the virtual god list. He was very talented and could become a powerful subordinate when he grew up. However, he had died in the hands of Lu Ming. He wants to form his own faction. Kongxian school has 7 factions. That's enough. Also, since we've already formed a feud, we have to get rid of him as soon as possible. The Tianhong saint's indifferent voice sounded. Don't worry, holy son. I'll send someone to keep an eye on this kid. Once I have the chance, I'll personally take action and get rid of him. Le Zhong said coldly. Good. With you around, I'm relieved. The Tianhong saint said. Then, the group began to discuss other matters. Lu Ming knew nothing about these. He and Autumn Moon were in seclusion in the Divine Vein Tower. The Divine Vein Tower was very useful to Autumn Moon. In less than half a year, Autumn Moon's aura had reached its peak and she began to break through to the virtual god realm. A few days later, Autumn Moon successfully broke through to LV1 virtual god realm. After Qiu Yu broke through, Lu Ming felt more at ease. He let Qiu Yu cultivate alone in the Divine Vein Pagoda. He left the Divine Vein Pagoda and headed to the Divine Skill Valley to cultivate his divine skill. Spring passed and autumn came. In the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed. For the past 20 years, Lu Ming had no other distractions and focused on cultivation. His 3 divine skills had all made great progress. The 9 Heavens Kunpeng technique had reached the 4th level. The apocalyptic 3 strikes had reached the 4th level. The 9 layers of crimson gold armor had reached the 4th level. All of them had reached the 4th level. This was very shocking. The higher the level, the harder it was to cultivate the divine skills. Of course, the power would also be stronger. Many peak true god experts had only cultivated to the 4th level of their divine skills. Only some terrifying geniuses could possibly cultivate to the 5th level of a peak true god. Lu Ming had just broken through to the true god realm not long ago, but he had already reached the 4th level. Furthermore, he had 3 types of divine skills. If others were to find out about this, they would be shocked. At the same time, Lu Ming had also smelted 8 cold moon stones into the ice chain. The ice chain was officially completed and its power was shocking. In these 20 years, Lu Ming's cultivation did not improve. He was still at LV1 True God realm. However, he had completely stabilized and was slowly approaching LV2 True God realm. It was more difficult to improve in the True God realm and it would take a longer time. Moreover, Lu Ming had 5 divine fires. It would be harder for him to improve. It was normal for him to not have a breakthrough in 20 years. However, compared to 20 years ago, Lu Ming's combat strength had increased by more than 1 level. It's a pity that the battle character formula has reached a bottleneck. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. He had almost reached a 100% success rate in increasing his combat strength by 3 times. However, he still could not reach 4 times his combat strength. He had reached a bottleneck and tried all kinds of methods, but it was still difficult to improve. Lu Ming, the reason why you can't improve is because your divine body is not strong enough. At this moment, a deep voice sounded in Lu Ming's mind. It was the battle character formula's voice. The battle character formula had always been silent and rarely spoke. However, it spoke at this moment. My divine body is not strong enough. Lu Ming was stunned for a moment before realization dawned on him. The more combat strength the battle character formula could increase, the higher the requirement for the divine body. If the divine body was not strong enough, the battle character formula could not be used. That's right. It's just that your divine body is not strong enough. If you want to cultivate the battle character formula to increase your combat strength by 4 times, you must increase the strength of your divine body. Otherwise, you will never be able to increase your combat strength by 4 times. In the future, when your cultivation becomes stronger, you won't even be able to increase your combat strength by 3 times or 2 times. The battle character formula said. Divine body, how do I improve my divine body? Lu Ming furrowed his brows. When he came to the primitive universe, he realized that the creatures in the primitive universe focused on the cultivation of divine power. As divine power grew stronger, it would also subtly temper the divine body. Therefore, the higher one's divine body was, the stronger one's divine body would become. However, there were no divine techniques that specialized in improving the divine body. Chapter 2765. Looks like I have to flip through the books to see if there are any methods to increase the strength of my divine body. Lu Ming pondered. At this moment, a powerful aura was emitted from not far away. Lu Ming looked over. There was a round ball floating in the air, shining brightly. It was Cho-Cho. Looks like Cho-Cho is about to advance to the True God realm. Lu Ming smiled. Cho-Cho had consumed a large number of fragments of divine weapons over the years, and its level was constantly increasing. It was about to advance to the True God realm. Soon, Cho-Cho officially broke through. Its aura was strong, and it reached the level 1 True God realm. It then flew to Lu Ming and turned into a bracelet, hanging on Lu Ming's wrist. Lu Ming smiled and left. He went to look for books to see if there were any methods to increase the strength of his divine body. In the next few days, Lu Ming immersed himself in reading books. Finally, he found a method. Ancient God Flower. Lu Ming muttered. According to the books, there was a divine flower called the Ancient God Flower. It was extremely mysterious. After consuming it, one's divine body would continue to evolve and become stronger. However, the Ancient God Flower could only be found in one place in the entire Qin Tian star field, and that was the Ancient God Planet. According to the books, the Ancient God Planet was occupied by a race in the distant past. This race was known as the descendants of the Ancient Gods. They had the bloodline of the ancient gods, and their divine bodies were stronger than other races. Only this race knew how to plant the ancient god flower. This race was not considered a big race in the Qin Tian star field. It was just a small race. However, it had disappeared a long time ago. Of course, the ancient god flower had also disappeared. After flipping through so many books, this is the most reliable method. Let's try my luck. Lu Ming sighed and decided to try his luck at the ancient god planet. He could not give up on the battle word manual. This was the origin source ancient word, and it was priceless. If he gave up on the battle word manual, it would affect his combat strength greatly. Then, Lu Ming set off for the teleportation formation to the ancient god planet. Lu Ming is going out. As soon as Lu Ming went to the teleportation array platform, he was targeted. The two young men followed him from afar and arrived at the teleportation platform. Looks like I'm not the only one who wants to kill this brat. Hee hee. Another person was following behind the two young men. It was none other than Le Zhong. Lu Ming knew nothing about this. He walked into the teleportation array and teleported away. Excuse me, where did that person teleport to? The two youths arrived at the teleportation array and asked a burly man guarding the teleportation array. I'm sorry, I can't tell you where he's going. The burly man said. There were rules for them to guard the teleportation array, and that was to keep it a secret. Let me tell you something. We were sent by Fuko Seiko. Now, Fuko Seiko wants to know where that brat went. Do you want to offend Fuko Seiko? A young man said coldly. The burly man's face paled. He couldn't afford to offend a saint child. If he did, he wouldn't even know how he died. He's gone. The burly man trembled as he told them about Lu Ming's whereabouts. The two young men sneered, stepped into the teleportation array, and chased after Lu Ming. After the two young men left, Le Zhong came forward. He showed his identity as the Great Hong Saint. The burly man didn't dare to offend him and told him about Lu Ming's whereabouts. Le Zhong also stepped into the teleportation array and chased after him. Kongxian's school couldn't go directly to the ancient god planet. He could only teleport to a nearby planet and fly there on an interstellar battleship. After more than a month of traveling, Lu Ming finally arrived above the ancient god planet. The ancient god planet was huge and slowly rotated in the starry sky. Lu Ming sat on the interstellar battleship and flew around the ancient god planet, observing it carefully. Legend had it that the descendants of the ancient god lived on a sacred mountain called the Ancient God Mountain. However, for some reason, the Ancient God Mountain suddenly disappeared from the Ancient God planet and never appeared again. Lu Ming wanted to find the Ancient God Mountain because only the Ancient God Mountain had the Ancient God Flower. However, he took the interstellar battleship and circled the Ancient God planet several times, but he didn't find the Ancient God Mountain. With no other choice, Lu Ming could only choose a random place and land. After entering the atmosphere, Lu Ming put away the interstellar battleship and flew towards a big city below. Not long after Lu Ming landed, two interstellar battleships flew over and landed. They were the two young experts from the Floating Lights sect and Le Zhong. Lu Ming landed in the big city. The big city was bustling with many races. People came and went, and it was very lively. A long time ago, the ancient god planet was under the control of the descendants of the ancient god. However, after the descendants of the ancient god planet disappeared, the ancient god planet fell into chaos. Countless forces were born, and they fought with each other until now. Have you heard? Another family was annihilated. I heard about it too. It's so tragic. The whole family was killed, not even a chicken or a dog was left. This is the fifth family to be annihilated in this area in the past 3 months. I wonder who did it. Why did they annihilate these families? These families are just small families. To be able to do this, it must be one of those big forces. Not long after Lu Ming entered the city, he heard people talking about him. Let me tell you. I heard a piece of news. It is said that all of this is because of the ancient god map. Suddenly, someone said in a low voice. Ancient god map? Others were puzzled. It's the ancient god map. Through this map, you can find the ancient god mountain where the descendants of the ancient god are. That person said again. What? You can find the ancient god mountain where the descendants of the ancient god are? Many people were shocked. Legend has it that the descendants of the ancient god have been annihilated for some reason. However, in the ancient god mountain, there are many treasures left behind by the descendants of the ancient god. It is said that whoever can find the ancient god mountain and obtain the treasures inside will be able to unify the ancient god planet and become the overlord of the ancient god planet. That's right. The ancient god map. Is it true? Many people were shocked and excited. It is most likely true. It is said that it appeared in the nearby area and was controlled by a family. That's why the families were annihilated one after another. That person said again. His words caused an uproar and the news spread further and further. The ancient god map can lead to the ancient god mountain? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was better to come at the right time than to come early. Lu Ming did not expect to hear news about the ancient god mountain the moment he arrived. Since there are families that have been annihilated one after another, there should be another family that will be annihilated. I'll go to one of these families and wait. Maybe I can find some clues. Lu Ming thought for a while and then asked around. There were a total of 9 big families in this area. Previously, 5 families had been annihilated and there were still 4 families left. Let's go to the Fu family. Lu Ming randomly chose a family. After figuring out the route, he headed towards that family. However, after Lu Ming flew for a distance, 2 young men appeared in front of him and blocked his way. Chapter 2766. Who are you guys? Lu Ming frowned as he could feel chilling killing intent from the 2 youths. The ones who are going to kill you. A young man with 2 bull horns on his head said coldly. Swish! Then, his figure flashed and appeared behind Lu Ming, blocking Lu Ming's path of retreat. You guys are the disciples of Kongshen School? Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he asked. Hee, you're smart. I'll let you die in peace. That's right, we're the inner disciples of Kongshen School and we belong to Fuko Seiko's faction. Do you understand? The bull-horned youth said coldly. Fuko Seiko's faction. So it's you guys. Lu Ming sneered as a chilling killing intent spread out from his body. There were only 2 factions that wanted to kill him in Kongshen School. One was the Floating Light faction and the other was the Great Sky faction. Kid, you want to kill us? You're just a level 1 true god and you want to kill us? What a joke. The bull-horned youth sneered and took a step forward. A violent aura soared into the sky. Level 7 true god. The bull-horned youth was a level 7 true god and the divine power that he controlled was king grade. His combat power was enough to fight against an ordinary level 8 true god. At the same time, the other youth also released a terrifying aura. He was also a level 7 true god. 2 7th level true god heavens chosen coming to kill a 1st level true god person, no matter how heavens chosen this person was, that was something that was in the bag. The gap was too big. No wonder they found it ridiculous when Lu Ming wanted to kill them. Kid, I'll send you on your way. Remember, the one who's going to kill you is Niu Fun. The bull-horned youth took a step forward and threw a punch at Lu Ming. What? Cow dung. Lu Ming almost laughed out loud when he heard the name. It was a good name. However, Lu Ming didn't have time to think as the opponent's fist force had already pressed down on him. Wang! A long spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand and he stabbed out. In the process of stabbing out, Lu Ming had already unleashed 3 times his combat strength. Boom! The long spear and the fist collided, causing a violent explosion, and energy overflowed in all directions. Then, the bull-horned young man took a dozen steps back, while Lu Ming only swayed a little. How is that possible? Your combat power. The bull-horned young man widened his eyes in shock. Lu Ming had actually gained the upper hand in a head-on collision. How was this possible? How could a 1st level true god possibly have such powerful combat strength? The other youth also had a relaxed expression, but at this moment, he was no longer relaxed. His face was filled with seriousness. Clearly, Lu Ming's attack had frightened them. Kill! The bull-horned youth roared as a battle axe appeared in his hand. The battle axe carried a terrifying aura as it slashed towards Lu Ming. The bull-horned young man had already used his divine skill. Void piercing. Lu Ming also used his divine skill. Dang! This time, the bull-horned young man's body shook violently as he retreated again. Even after using his divine skill, he was still at a disadvantage. Ah, damn it, quick, let's attack together, let's attack together. The bull-horned young man roared. There was no need for him to shout. The other young man had already made his move. With a flash of his figure, he pounced on Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. A dazzling sword gleam burst forth and charged toward Lu Ming. Third destructive blow, void piercing. Lu Ming brandished his spear once again. This time, 2 spear radiances burst out and charged towards his opponent. Dang! Dang! Both sides continued to exchange blows. 3 figures flashed in the air at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. To be honest, both of them were very powerful. They were 7th-level true gods and had mastered king-grade divine force. Even one of their divine skills had reached the 4th level. With the 2 of them working together, even Lu Ming would not be able to take them down easily. After exchanging dozens of blows, although Lu Ming had gained the upper hand, he could not completely suppress them. This person is too powerful. Let's retreat first and report this news to the Holy Sun so that he can send more experts to kill this kid. That's right. The bull-horned young man and the other youth communicated secretly. Both of their eyes were filled with deep fear. A 1st-level true god was actually able to suppress both of them. This kind of monstrous talent was simply unheard of. Even the Holy Sons were far from Lu Ming in a battle of the same level. Although the Holy Sons were strong, there was a limit. However, Lu Ming was simply abnormal. Let's go. The 2 of them took advantage of the time and quickly retreated, wanting to escape. Want to leave? Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Ice shackles. Then, with a thought, Lu Ming released 8 shackles from his body. That's right, there were 8 shackles. Lu Ming did not use his full strength. That most terrifying shackle, Lu Ming did not use it. However, these 8 ice shackles had been refined with the cold moon stone, so their power was equally shocking. The moment the ice shackles appeared, they were like 8 long snakes that danced in the air, entangling the 2 youth. Break! The 2 youth attacked frantically, wanting to break the ice shackles. However, when their attacks landed on the ice shackles were unharmed. On the contrary, the ice shackles emitted a terrifying chill that flowed through the divine artifact and entered the 2 youths' bodies. The 2 of them shuddered, and a layer of frost appeared on their bodies, wanting to seal them in ice. Ah! The 2 youths screamed desperately, using their full strength, but it was to no avail. They could not break the ice shackles at all. The ice shackles contracted, becoming tighter and tighter. In the end, they were tightly bound, unable to move. Kill! Lu Ming said coldly. His long spear pierced out, killing the 2 youth. With a wave of his hand, he kept the 2 youths' storage rings. Fuko Seiko. The cold light in Lu Ming's eyes became more intense. These 2 factions had repeatedly tried to kill him. In his heart, they were already sentenced to death. Sooner or later, he would destroy these 2 factions. Now that I'm using my full strength, I'm roughly equivalent to an 8th-level true god realm genius. After this battle, Lu Ming had a rough estimate of his own strength. If he used all his means, he estimated that he was comparable to an 8th-level true god realm expert with king-grade divine power. If he only had ordinary divine power, Lu Ming could even fight a 9th-level true god realm expert. Fighting a 9th-level true god realm expert as a 1st-level true god, it would scare people to death. In a flash, Lu Ming left the place. Not long after Lu Ming left, Le Zhong's figure appeared. At this moment, Le Zhong's eyes were filled with horror. In fact, he had seen the battle just now. The battle strength that Lu Ming displayed had deeply shocked him. Too terrifying. This kid's battle strength is too terrifying. Le Zhong muttered. Thinking back to the battle just now, the horror in his eyes grew. A first-level true god could actually kill two seventh-level true god realm geniuses. If he did not see it with his own eyes, he would not believe it. Chapter 2767. I don't know if this brat used his full strength just now. It's not wise for me to face him head-on. Le Zhong muttered to himself. He was truly frightened. His cultivation was already at the peak of the 9th level of the true god realm, and his divine power was at the king grade. His combat strength was much stronger than the bull-horned youth, but he did not dare to make a move just now. He was not sure of Lu Ming's combat strength, and he was afraid that Lu Ming had not used his full strength just now. If Lu Ming had not used his full strength just now, he was not confident that he would be able to defeat him. I should hide in the dark and wait for an opportunity to strike. It seems like Lu Ming came to the ancient god planet to look for the ancient god's mountain. If the ancient god's mountain appears, I will be able to obtain a fortuitous encounter. Le Zhong pondered and made a decision. He decided to hide in the dark and wait for an opportunity to strike. Lu Ming continued to head toward the Fu family. The Fu family was located in the middle of a mountain range. Even from afar, one could see the luxurious palaces built on top of the mountain peaks. Just as Lu Ming was about to fly forward, figures flashed from all directions. At the same time, sharp attacks flew toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming furrowed his brows and cast the 9-layered crimson gold armor. A crimson gold armor enveloped him. Pang! Pang! Those attacks were all blocked by the reddish gold armor. Shwa! Shwa! In a flash, a group of people surrounded Lu Ming, revealing fierce expressions. All of them stared at Lu Ming cautiously and fearfully. Who the hell are you? Why do you want to destroy my Fu family? A burly man roared. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. When did I say that I want to destroy you? Seeing that Lu Ming did not speak, another old man shouted, Don't waste time with him. If he wants to kill us, then we will kill him. Let's attack together and kill him. Kill! This group of people roared. There were at least a few hundred of them, and they attacked Lu Ming together. Among this group of people, the one with the highest cultivation was a level 4 true god. There were even many void god realm experts. Although there were many of them, they posed no threat to Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming did not have the habit of standing there and not fighting back. A long spear appeared in his hand. The long spear swept out, and a huge spear light crushed towards the crowd. Bang! 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 This group of people, regardless of whether it was 4th level true god or void god realm, they were all like one sandbag after another, being whipped flying by Lu Ming, falling all over the ground. How can he be so strong? Someone roared, his voice filled with despair as he glared at Lu Ming with venomous hatred. Hey, I have no enmity with you. It's fine if you attack me for no reason, but why are you looking at me as if you have a deep grudge against me? What do you mean? Lu Ming was speechless. No enmity. Are you not here to destroy my Fu family? An old man cried out. Destroy your Fu family? Lu Ming rubbed his nose and said, If I wanted to destroy your Fu family, would you still be alive? Everyone on the other side was stunned, and then they looked at each other. Indeed, with Lu Ming's strength, it would be easy for him to kill them. Just now, he had sent all of them flying with a single spear strike, but none of them were killed. If he wanted to destroy them, why would he do so? Then you are. The old man looked at Lu Ming uneasily, and his voice stuttered. He was afraid that he had angered Lu Ming and killed them. I heard that 5 families have been destroyed in the vicinity. I was curious and wanted to take a look at your Fu family. I didn't expect you to treat me as an enemy. Lu Ming smiled and did not mind. The other party was facing the danger of being destroyed at any time, so it was normal for them to be frightened. Young hero, I'm sorry. We were rash just now, the 4th level true god old man kept apologizing. It's fine, Lu Ming waved his hand, and his face suddenly changed. He looked in a direction and said, "It seems that the people who want to destroy you are here." What? The Fu family old man's face changed, and he quickly looked in that direction. Swoosh! 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 In that direction, black shadows were flashing towards them. Their speed was shockingly fast. In a few breaths, these black figures arrived and surrounded the Fu family and Lu Ming. There were more than 200 of them. These people were all wearing black robes, and they gave off a mysterious and dangerous feeling. "Who are you? What do you want?" The Fu family old man asked in shock. "Hand over the map of the ancient gods' mountain, and we can spare your lives," one of the black-robed men said with a hoarse voice. "What map of the ancient gods' mountain? Our Fu family doesn't have a map of the ancient gods' mountain." The Fu family old man roared. "No? Huh, you won't cry until you see the coffin. Then let's destroy the Fu family. We'll find it ourselves. Kill!" The leading black-robed man waved his hand, and the 200 black-robed men moved. Their figures flickered, and they charged towards the Fu family at an extremely fast speed. "They're all experts." Lu Ming glanced at them and realized that these black-robed men were all experts. Most of them were True God Realm experts, and the strongest of them had reached the 5th level True God Realm. Their strength was far above the Fu family. "Defend, defend!" The Fu family old man roared, and the Fu family members formed a defensive formation. Although the Fu family had more people, their strength was far inferior to the other party. Lu Ming did not attack immediately. He wanted to let the Fu family suffer a little before he attacked. However, someone forced him to attack even though he did not want to. Kill!
A third-level True God Realm black-robed man charged towards Lu Ming, and a cold blade light slashed towards Lu Ming, wanting to split Lu Ming in half. "I wanted to let you live for a while longer, but you're really courting death," Lu Ming said coldly, and stabbed out with his spear, killing the black-robed man. When the other black-robed men saw this scene, they were so frightened that their faces changed drastically. Kill! Lu Ming attacked. His figure flashed, and his long spear vibrated, and spear light shot out. The strongest of these black-robed men was only at the 5th level True God Realm, and the divine force they controlled was only ordinary. They couldn't withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. Puff! Puff! Every spear light took the life of a black-robed man. Over 100 spear lights shot out, and over 100 black-robed men were killed. Their corpses littered the ground. The scene suddenly quieted down. Whether it was the black-robed men or the Fu family members, they were all shocked. Run! After a few seconds, the black-robed men reacted and fled in all directions. They understood that they had encountered a terrifying expert, and if they stayed, they would all die. "You want to leave? Stay!" Lu Ming roared, and 8 ice chains flew out, rapidly lengthening. The sky was filled with ice chains, and they wrapped around the black-robed men. How could these black-clothed men avoid the attack of the ice shackles? They were all bound and frozen stiff by the terrifying coldness of the ice shackles.
Chapter 2768. More than 100 men in black were all bound by Lu Ming's ice shackles. They were frozen stiff by the cold air. Didn't you want to know who they are? I'll leave them to you now. Lu Ming looked at the Fu family members. The Fu family members seemed to have woken up from a dream. The level 4 True God Realm Elder walked over and stared at one of the black-clothed men. "Speak. Who are you? Don't even think about getting anything out of me." The black-clothed man said coldly. "Humph. You're hiding in a black robe because you're afraid of being recognized. Let me see who you are." The Fu family elder waved his hand and tore off the black-clothed man's black robe, revealing the face of a middle-aged man. The Fu family elder was stunned when he saw the man's face. He was shocked and shouted, "It's you, Protector 19. You're territorial Lord Yufeng's men." The Fu family elder's voice trembled as if he was shocked. "Territorial Lord Yufeng. It's territorial Lord Yufeng. We're finished. We're finished." The rest of the Fu family members were also pale. They were terrified. Territorial Lord Yufeng? Lu Ming was puzzled. "Young hero, it's like this. After many years of war, the ancient god planet has been divided into many territories. Each territory has a territorial master. Territorial Master Yufeng is the overlord of this territory." The Fu family elder explained. Lu Ming was enlightened. "I didn't expect Territorial Lord Yufeng to send his men. I didn't expect," the Fu family elder sighed. The Fu family was just a force under Territorial Lord Yufeng. How could they go against Territorial Lord Yufeng? Now that Territorial Lord Yufeng had his eyes on them, the Fu family was doomed. "Humph. Since you know we're Territorial Lord Yufeng's men, let us go," the 19 Protector said coldly. Since they had been recognized, there was no need to hide anymore. "That's right. Let us go." The other black-clothed men also shouted. The Fu family elder and the rest of the Fu family members were hesitant. Just now, so many of their people died. Also, that so-called domain Lord Yufeng has his eyes on your Fu family. Do you think that if you let these people go, he will let the Fu family go? Lu Ming said calmly. "Brat, you," the 19 Protectors and the other black-clothed men were shocked. "That's right. Kill. Kill all of them and weaken domain Lord Yufeng's strength." The old man from the Fu family gritted his teeth and revealed a ruthless expression. "You dare?" The 19 Protectors were furious. Clang! With a flash of saber light, the Fu family's old man made his move and split the 19 Protectors into two halves. "Attack! Kill them all!" The old man from the Fu family roared. "Kill!" The people of the Fu clan all attacked the black-clothed men. Those black-robed men were all entangled by Lu Ming's ice shackles, unable to resist at all. One by one, they were killed. Soon, more than 100 black-robed men were all dead. Lu Ming waved his hand and put away the ice shackles. "Young hero, may I invite you to the Fu family as a guest?" The old man from the Fu family stammered. Next, the Fu family would definitely face domain Lord Yufeng's revenge. With the Fu family's strength, they would definitely not be able to withstand it. However, the strength that Lu Ming had just displayed was extremely shocking. To have such combat strength at such a young age, he was definitely not from the ancient god planet. He was most likely a genius from the Qin Tian star zone. He wanted to ask for Lu Ming's help. Perhaps he could help the Fu family overcome this crisis. "What's the cultivation of domain Lord Yufeng?" Lu Ming asked. "I heard that he's a level 8 true god," the old man from the Fu family said. When he mentioned level 8 true god, his face turned solemn. And level 8 true god was not someone the Fu family could deal with. The strongest person in the Fu family was only a level 5 true god. Level 8 true god? Alright, I'll go with you. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming did not take the level 8 true god seriously. Even if it was a level 8 true god with king-grade divine power, Lu Ming would not be afraid. Unless he encountered a top-notch genius who had mastered a terrifying secret skill or whose divine power was sacred grade, Lu Ming would not be a match for him. "Thank you, young hero." Hearing Lu Ming's agreement, the old man from the Fu family was overjoyed. The rest of the Fu family were also overjoyed. After everyone cleaned up the battlefield, Lu Ming followed the Fu family to the Fu family. When they arrived at the Fu family, a group of people came to welcome them. "Grand Elder, what's the situation? There seems to be a huge battle over there." A middle-aged man in luxurious clothes came over and asked the old man from the Fu family. The old man from the Fu family was the Grand Elder of the Fu family. Patriarch, there was indeed a huge battle. The other party is Domain Lord Yofeng's men. The Grand Elder of the Fu family said. What? Domain Lord Yufeng? The Fu family's patriarch's face turned pale. It was all thanks to young hero Lu Ming that we were able to survive. The Grand Elder of the Fu family immediately explained what had happened. After hearing the explanation, the Fu family's patriarch thanked Lu Ming profusely and treated Lu Ming as a distinguished guest. After that, Lu Ming stayed in the Fu family's residence. As for the Fu family, they were on high alert, waiting for the arrival of a powerful enemy. 3 days later, in the wee hours of the morning. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! A sharp voice broke the silence of the wee hours. A large number of people flew out of the Fu family's palaces and set up defensive formations, waiting for the incoming attack. They are finally here. Lu Ming muttered. His body moved, and he flew out of his room and hovered in the air. He saw that the Fu family's residence was surrounded by a large group of people. A terrifying pressure surged toward the Fu family like a tidal wave. Domain Lord Yufeng, it's really Domain Lord Yufeng, many members of the Fu family mumbled to themselves. Their faces were pale as they stared at an elder. This elder was wearing a golden robe and exuded a majestic aura. This person was Domain Lord Yufeng. Bam! Bam! Domain Lord Yufeng stepped forward, causing the sky to rumble. His divine power boiled, and his powerful aura formed a terrifying pressure that enveloped the sky above the Fu family. Many members of the Fu family trembled. They almost couldn't withstand the pressure. Domain Lord Yufeng, may I know how my Fu clan offended you for you to come here with such a large force? The Fu family's patriarch stepped forward and cupped his fists respectfully. Why are you asking the obvious? Hand over the map of the ancient gods' mountain and I can spare your life. Domain Lord Yufeng said coldly. Domain Lord, the Fu family doesn't have a map of the ancient gods' mountain. If we did, we would have handed it over long ago. The Fu family's patriarch said. He meant what he said. If he had a map of the ancient gods' mountain, he would have handed it over immediately in exchange for the Fu family's safety. Humph, you don't need to quibble. The map of the ancient gods' mountain was made with soul gold. The soul gold has a special property, which is that it can sense each other. Even if you are far away, it can sense each other. I happen to have a small piece of soul gold with me. Through the soul gold, I can sense that there is soul gold in this area. Soul gold is extremely rare, and there isn't much of it on the ancient gods' planet. There is a high possibility that it is the map of the ancient gods' mountain. Domain Lord Yufeng said. Chapter 2769. After Territorial Lord Yufeng finished speaking, a purplish gold metal the size of a fingernail appeared in his palm. The metal was shining brightly as if it was resonating with something. Everyone finally understood why there were so many families being annihilated in this area. It was because Territorial Lord Yufeng had used the soul gold to sense that there was another piece of soul gold in this area. It was very likely to be the map of the ancient gods' mountain. However, he wasn't sure of the exact location, so he went to search for it one by one. However, he was afraid of being criticized, so he ordered his subordinates to wear black robes and masks. But my Fu family doesn't have any soul gold. The Fu family head said with a helpless expression. Father, could it be related to the antiques I bought last time? At this moment, a young man came to the Fu family head's side and whispered. Antiques? The Fu family head was stunned. Yes, I bought a batch of antiques last time and wanted to see if they had any value. One of the scrolls had a similar color to this soul gold. The young man said. Territorial Lord Yufeng's eyes lit up when he heard the young man's words. What? There's such a thing. Quick, take it out. The Fu family head hurriedly said. Yes. The young man nodded and took out a storage ring. The storage ring glowed, and a pile of antiques appeared in the air. They didn't seem to have any spirituality, but they looked ancient and showed signs of age. One of the scrolls had a similar color to the soul gold, but it was much dimmer. When these antiques were taken out, the soul gold in territorial Lord Yufeng's hand shone brightly. Then, the ancient scroll shone brightly and resonated with the soul gold. Ha ha ha, the map of the ancient God's mountain. It's really the map of the ancient God's mountain. Give it to me. Territorial Lord Yufeng laughed. The Fu family head hurriedly grabbed the map of the ancient God's mountain and said, Territorial Lord Yufeng, I'll give this map to you. You have to promise to let my Fu family go. Alright, I promise you. Give it to me now. Territorial Lord Yufeng said hurriedly. The Fu family head pondered for a moment and waved his hand. The map of the ancient God's mountain flew to Territorial Lord Yufeng and landed in his hand. After grabbing it in his hand, he hurriedly opened it to take a look, and his expression became even happier. Ha ha ha, I finally got it. Now, seeing that you have handed over the map of the ancient God's mountain, I will give the Fu clan a quick death. Domain Lord Yufeng said coldly. What? You? Didn't you say that you would let the Fu family off? You don't keep your word. The head of the Fu family roared. Trust? Humph, the last time I sent over 200 people, all of them died in your Fu clan's hands. If I don't destroy your Fu clan, how can I face my subordinates? Domain Lord Yufeng said coldly. His eyes were extremely cold. From the start, he had never intended to let the Fu family off. Hee, Yufeng, you're still as despicable as before. At this moment, a cold laugh came from the sky. It was filled with mockery. Who? Domain Lord Yufeng's expression changed as he looked at the sky. Yufeng, you can't even recognize my voice? That voice sounded again. Whoosh! Whoosh! Then, several figures appeared in that direction. The leader was a skinny middle-aged man. Xiangshan, it's you. Domain Lord Yufeng's expression changed. Xiangshan Domain Lord, it's Xiangshan Domain Lord. Someone from the Fu family exclaimed. Looks like it's another Domain Lord. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Domain Lord Yufeng ruled this area, while Domain Lord Xiangshan should be the overlord of the other area. Of course it's me. Yufeng, do you think you can keep the map of the ancient God's mountain for yourself? Hand it over. Domain Lord Xiangshan said coldly. Humph, you think you can take the map of the ancient God's mountain from me by yourself? Dream on. Domain Lord Yufeng grabbed the map of the ancient God's mountain and waved his hand. He was about to put it into his storage ring. At this moment, a beam of light shot toward Domain Lord Yufeng's palm at an extremely fast speed. This attack came from behind Domain Lord Yufeng. It was from one of his subordinates. Domain Lord Yufeng did not expect his subordinate to attack him. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. His palm was hit and exploded. The map of the ancient God's mountain flew out. Great Guardian, you're courting death. Domain Lord Yufeng roared. He circulated his divine power and quickly repaired his shattered palm. The person who attacked him earlier was the number 1 expert under him, a 7th level true god existence. He was the head protector under him. The Great Guardian quickly retreated to prevent Domain Lord Yufeng from attacking. Ha ha ha, let me tell you. Your Great Guardian has secretly sided with me. Domain Lord Xiangshan laughed. He moved and pounced toward the map of the ancient God's mountain. You want to take my map of the ancient God's mountain? Don't even think about it. Die! Domain Lord Yufeng roared and pounced toward the map of the ancient God's mountain. At the same time, he attacked Domain Lord Xiangshan violently. Domain Lord Xiangshan was fearless. He also launched an attack. The two of them collided and energy waves spread. Fortunately, the map of the ancient God's mountain was made of soul point gold. It was extremely hard and was unharmed by the energy waves. Domain Lord Xiangshan was also a level 8 true god. His combat strength was no weaker than Domain Lord Yufeng. The two of them continued to exchange blows, but no one could gain the upper hand. For a while, neither of them obtained the map of the ancient gods' mountain. However, at this moment, a figure appeared in the sky and pounced toward the map of the ancient gods' mountain at an extremely fast speed. He grabbed the map of the ancient gods' mountain. It was a member of the Wings clan. He had a pair of green wings on his back. When he flapped them, his speed was shocking. Domain Lord Yuhan, it's you. Domain Lord Yufeng and Domain Lord Xiangshan shouted at the same time. They ignored the fight and attacked the member of the Wings clan at the same time. Another Domain Lord had arrived. It was Domain Lord Yuhan. Domain Lord Yuhan was about to get the map of the ancient gods' mountain. However, Domain Lord Yufeng and Domain Lord Xiangshan attacked at the same time. He had to give up the map of the ancient gods' mountain and defend with all his might. Boom! Boom! Domain Lord Yuhan was pushed back. Domain Lord Yufeng and Domain Lord Xiangshan pounced toward the map of the ancient gods' mountain and engaged in a fierce battle. Domain Lord Yuhan's face darkened. He pounced forward as well. The three Domain Lords started to fight. Everyone wanted to get the map of the ancient gods' mountain. However, no one could get it. The Fu family members were dumbfounded. They did not expect to attract three Domain Lords at once. The map of the ancient gods' mountain was flying around in the energy waves. The map of the ancient gods' mountain? Lu Ming muttered. He was tempted. Didn't he come here to look for the ancient gods' mountain? Hence, he wanted the map of the ancient gods' mountain. Lu Ming stepped forward and approached the battlefield. Chapter 2770. Coincidentally, when Lu Ming stepped out, the map of the ancient gods' mountain was agitated by the force and flew toward Lu Ming at lightning speed. Even Lu Ming was taken aback. He stretched out his hand and caught the map of the ancient gods' mountain. Kid, give me the map of the ancient gods' mountain. Hand it over. Territorial Lord Yufeng, Xiangshan Territorial Lord, and Yuhan Territorial Lord roared and pounced on Lu Ming. Lu Ming moved a few hundred miles away to avoid the attack. I want this map of the ancient gods' mountain. Lu Ming spoke and kept the map of the ancient gods' mountain. Everyone was stunned and looked at Lu Ming as if he was an idiot. He wanted the map of the ancient gods' mountain. Did he think that the three territorial lords were just decorations? Was he courting death? Even the three territorial lords were stunned for a moment before they emitted cold killing intent. Kid, I've never seen anyone as stupid as you. Since you're courting death, I'll grant you your wish. Domain Lord Yufeng shouted coldly. His figure was like a bolt of lightning as he charged toward Lu Ming. He's mine. Don't even think about taking him from me. Territorial Lord Xiangshan and Territorial Lord Yuhan pounced on Lu Ming. They wanted to kill Lu Ming and take Lu Ming's storage ring. Do you really think I'm a pushover? Lu Ming sneered and a long spear appeared in his hand. At the same time, Lu Ming activated the battle character secret art to triple his combat strength. Sky piercing. Lu Ming shouted and circulated the divine force in his body. He executed the first move of the 3 strokes of annihilation, sky piercing. 3 spear radiances with terrifying power shot towards Territorial Lord Yufeng, Territorial Lord Xiangshan, and Territorial Lord Yuhan. Boom! 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 3 consecutive explosions. Territorial Lord Yufeng and the other 2 Territorial Lords were shocked. Their bodies trembled and they could not help but retreat. Lu Ming's body swayed and he took a few steps back. What? At the scene, everyone was dumbfounded. Lu Ming had actually blocked the attacks of the 3 region lords, and had even forced them back. How could Lu Ming have such powerful battle prowess? Previously, some people thought that Lu Ming was stupid, but now they realized that they were the stupid ones. Amazing, so amazing, the Fu family patriarch and the others were also shocked. Damn it, this brat, Domain Lord Yufeng and the other 2 couldn't hide the shock in their eyes. This brat is difficult to deal with. Why don't the three of us join forces and cripple this brat first? It won't be too late to snatch the map of the ancient gods' mountain later. Domain Lord Yufeng sent a voice transmission to the other two domain lords. All right. I agree. The Xiangshan Territorial Lord and Yuhan Territorial Lord nodded in agreement. From the exchange of blows just now, they knew that they were no match for Lu Ming alone. Whoosh! 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 Domain Lord Yufeng and the other two moved. They formed a triangle and charged towards Lu Ming. Come on! Lu Ming said in a low voice. His long spear vibrated and swept out. Domain Lord Yufeng and the other two domain lords only had ordinary divine power. Although they were level 8 true gods, Lu Ming was not afraid at all. Boom! The thick spear radiance was like a mountain and blasted towards the three domain lords. The three domain lords also used their trump cards and the two sides engaged in an intense battle. Boom! 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 Explosions continued to occur in the sky. In the blink of an eye, the two sides had exchanged over 100 blows. This is great. Let's try out my new move. Third strike of extinction, moon slashing. Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. The divine power in his body surged and surged into the long spear. At the same time, Lu Ming used the ice chains. A few chains swept towards the Xiangshan Territorial Lord and Yuhan Territorial Lord. As for Lu Ming himself, he used the second move of the third strike of extinction, moon slashing. When the third strike of extinction was cultivated to the fourth level, he could already use the second move, moon slashing. The power of this move was much stronger than the space piercing. Of course, the consumption of divine power was also much more shocking. However, Lu Ming had the quantifying character formula and did not care about the consumption of divine power. Swoosh! A spear radiance, like a crescent moon, attacked Domain Lord Yufeng. Domain Lord Yufeng's pupils contracted rapidly. He could feel the terrifying power of Lu Ming's move. He roared and used all his strength to block the move. Boom! Puff! Two strange sounds were heard. Then, Lu Ming's figure rushed past. Domain Lord Yufeng's body stiffened in the air and his face was filled with horror. Then, his body was torn apart and his soul was destroyed. At the sight of this, the Xiangshan Domain Lord and the Yuhan Domain Lord felt a chill run down their spines from the soles of their feet to the top of their heads. They were almost scared to death. They retreated frantically, distancing themselves from Lu Ming. The Territorial Lord is dead. The Territorial Lord is dead. Domain Lord Yufeng's subordinates immediately panicked and frantically retreated to distance themselves from Lu Ming. Did I say you can leave? Stop right there. Lu Ming looked at Domain Lord Xiangshan and Domain Lord Yuhan. Domain Lord Xiangshan and Domain Lord Yuhan were shocked and did not dare to stay. They immediately turned and ran. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He executed the Garuda technique and rushed towards the two like a Garuda. He overtook them in a few moves and stood in front of them. I asked you to stop. Didn't you hear me? Lu Ming said coldly. Young hero, I don't want the ancient gods' mountain map anymore. Take it. Take it. Domain Lord Xiangshan hurriedly said as he broke out in cold sweat. If Lu Ming could kill Domain Lord Yufeng with one strike, he could also kill him with one strike. It would be strange if he was not afraid. Yes. I don't want it either. Young hero, take it. Domain Lord Yuhan hurriedly said. The ancient gods' mountain map will be mine. You too, don't leave. I might need your help. Lu Ming said coldly. Domain Lord Xiangshan and Domain Lord Yuhan did not dare to move. Then, Lu Ming took out the ancient gods' mountain map and looked at it. There were many routes on the map that led to a mysterious place, the ancient gods' mountain. I need you to follow me and find the ancient gods' mountain through the map. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming was unfamiliar with the ancient gods' planet. Even if he had the map, it would be troublesome to find it. It would be better to rely on Domain Lord Xiangshan and the others to find the ancient god's mountain faster. Lu Ming did not mind bringing Domain Lord Xiangshan and the others with him. He just wanted to get some ancient god flowers. He did not care about Domain Lord Xiangshan and the others. Domain Lord Xiangshan and Domain Lord Yuhan's eyes lit up. They did not expect such a good thing to happen. If Lu Ming wanted them to find the ancient god's mountain, wouldn't that mean they could go in too? Their eyes lit up when they thought of this. Don't worry. We'll find it as soon as possible. Domain Lord Xiangshan and Domain Lord Yuhan nodded. Let's go. Lu Ming said and left with Domain Lord Xiangshan and the others. They did not stay in the Fu family. With Domain Lord Yufeng's death, the Fu family's crisis was resolved. Luck. Our Fu family is really lucky this time. Yes, we met young hero Lu Ming. God bless our Fu family. Young hero Lu Ming is our Fu family's savior. We must make a statue of him and worship him every day. Looking at the direction where Lu Ming left, the Fu family members were grateful. Chapter 2771. Lu Ming did not care about what the Fu family was thinking. In the following days, Xiangshan Domain Lord and Yuhan Domain Lord sent out a large number of people to search for the ancient god's mountain according to the map. After half a month of research, they finally determined the exact location. Lu Ming, Xiangshan Domain Lord and Yuhan Domain Lord brought some experts and rushed towards the destination. They did not notice that there was a figure following them from afar. That person was Le Zhong. According to the map, the ancient god's mountain was located at the extreme north of the ancient god planet, on a deserted island in the extreme North Sea. When they arrived at the deserted island, they were stunned. Because this deserted island was desolate, there was no ancient god's mountain. Most importantly, there were already many people gathered here, standing around the deserted island, searching for something. Domain Lord Guanhao, Domain Lord Chen Cheng, why are you here? Xiangshan Domain Lord exclaimed with his eyes wide open. Because he saw many Domain Lords here, and he recognized some of them. Xiangshan, you're here too. Looks like you've also obtained a map of the ancient god's mountain. A burly man chuckled. He was Domain Lord Chen Cheng. What do you mean? You've also obtained a map of the ancient god's mountain? Xiangshan Domain Lord asked. That's right. A scroll appeared in Domain Lord Chen Cheng's hand. It was exactly the same as the one Lu Ming had. This, Xiangshan Domain Lord, Yuhan Domain Lord and the others were dumbfounded. Ha ha ha, are you surprised? I thought there was only one map of the ancient god's mountain, just like you guys. Only when I came here did I know that there are many maps of the ancient god's mountain. Look, more than half of the Domain Lords are here. I'm afraid there will be more later. Domain Lord Chen Qing laughed. Lu Ming, Xiangshan Domain Lord and the others were speechless. After so long, there were many maps of the ancient god's mountain. Did you guys find the ancient god's mountain? Xiangshan Domain Lord asked again. This was what they were most concerned about. No, this place is just a deserted island. Even birds don't shit here, there's nothing here. Domain Lord Chen Qing said. Lu Ming's face darkened slightly. Nothing here? Wouldn't that be a wasted trip? However, how could they give up just like that? Immediately, they began to search the island carefully to see if they could find any clues. Sure enough, as time passed, more and more people came from all over the island. They were all area lords who had obtained the map of the ancient god's mountain and had rushed over. Strange, it seems that all these maps appeared at the same time. Otherwise, how could so many people coincidentally gather at the same time? Lu Ming frowned as he pondered. All of this gave him the feeling that it was being manipulated by someone. He wasn't the only one who had doubts. The others had doubts as well. However, the temptation of the ancient god's mountain was too great. No one left. Le Zhong had already blended into the crowd on the deserted island. There were at least tens of thousands of people on the island, so no one would notice him. As the days passed, more and more people arrived at the island. According to Domain Master Xiangshan, most of the Domain Masters in the entire ancient god planet had come and they had brought a large number of experts with them. That's impossible. This map of the ancient god's mountain is made of soulless gold. Soulless gold is rare and precious to begin with. Who would spend so much money to play such a prank? Someone said. That was true. No one would spend so much money to play a prank on them because it was meaningless. The only explanation was that it was time for the ancient god's mountain to appear. That was why the map of the ancient god's mountain would appear all over the ancient god planet in such a short period of time. There are so many maps of the ancient god's mountain. Maybe it's meaningful. Why don't we take out everyone's map and see if there's anything strange? Someone suggested. All right, I agree. I agree too. Many people nodded. Then, those who had the map of the ancient god's mountain took it out one after another. Lu Ming also took out his map. There were at least a few hundred maps of the ancient god's mountain. As soon as the maps were taken out, they resonated with each other and shone brightly. Buzz! Buzz! Then, these maps actually flew out and flew in the direction of the deserted island, stopping at a certain spot. The hundreds of maps formed a strange trajectory and spun rapidly in the air. Suddenly, numerous runes appeared in the void, covering the sky like a spiderweb. There's a reaction. Many people were overjoyed. If there was a reaction, it meant that the maps were real. More and more runes appeared in the void. In the end, the void started to spin and formed a dark vortex. Then, the vortex slowly became clear. Through the vortex, they could see the scenery behind the vortex. It was a sacred mountain. It was huge and towered into the sky. The ancient god's mountain. Many people were overjoyed. They had finally found the ancient god's mountain. A long time ago, it was the place where the descendants of the ancient gods lived. Legend had it that there were countless treasures inside. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. There was an ancient god flower in the ancient god's mountain. As long as he could obtain the ancient god flower, his divine body would be enhanced. He would be able to cultivate the battle character formula to quadruple his combat strength. Let's go! Someone could not wait any longer and rushed into the vortex. In a flash, he rushed into the vortex and appeared on the other side of the vortex. It's okay. Quick, go! Go! Seeing that the people in front of them were fine, most of them could not wait any longer and rushed into the vortex. They were afraid that the treasures would be taken away if they were slower than the others. The Xiangshan Territorial Lord and Yuhan Territorial Lord did not care about Lu Ming and rushed into the vortex as well. Lu Ming also blended in with the crowd and rushed into the ancient god's mountain. Hee, I did not expect to encounter the legendary ancient god's mountain on this trip to kill Lu Ming. This Lu Ming is really my lucky star. Le Zhong sneered and rushed into the vortex. As soon as Lu Ming rushed into the vortex, he appeared on top of a huge rock. Lu Ming looked ahead and realized that they had come to the middle of a huge valley. The valley was huge. It was at least 1,000 miles wide and there were cliffs on both sides that reached into the clouds. More than 10,000 of them had entered the valley. Swoosh! Swoosh! Many of them had already rushed into the depths of the valley. Lu Ming looked around and rushed into the depths of the valley. Boom! Suddenly, there was a violent explosion in front of them. A group of people were fighting fiercely. The ancient god flower is mine. Get lost. You're the one who should get lost. Angry roars were heard and Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The ancient god flower has appeared. Lu Ming dashed over quickly. True enough, he saw a dark red fresh flower growing in the crevice of a rock. The fresh flower was plump and glistening, emitting a strong energy wave. The ancient god flower. It was really the ancient god flower. It was exactly the same as what was recorded in the ancient records. Chapter 2772. Dozens of experts were fighting fiercely near the ancient god flower. Ah! With a scream, a level 6 true god expert was killed. Blood flowed all over the ground. In the great battle, there were several region lord level characters. 6th level true god existences were naturally not enough to look at. The others looked around and did not fight for it. An ancient god flower was not worth it. More people rushed into the depths of the valley. Since there were ancient god flowers here, there might be more in the depths of the valley. Lu Ming watched for a while and did not make a move. The use of an ancient god flower was limited. There was no need to fight and expose his strength in advance. With a move, Lu Ming also went into the depths of the valley. Sure enough, ancient god flowers appeared one after another in the depths of the valley. Every time an ancient god flower appeared, it would lead to a fierce battle. Although the Eldritch universe mainly cultivated divine power, the strength of the divine body was also very important. Some secret techniques would have requirements for the strength of the divine body. Moreover, the stronger the divine body, the stronger the vitality. Treasures that could improve the divine body were all very precious. The competition for them was naturally fierce. However, Lu Ming did not make a move. He sped up and rushed into the depths of the valley. "Kid, be careful. Someone wants to kill you." At this time, a voice came out from Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. "Someone wants to kill me." Lu Ming did not hesitate. He was alert. "Wait," this voice. Suddenly, Lu Ming's figure stopped. His face was full of shock. Because the voice in his sea of consciousness was very unfamiliar. It was not the voice of the measure formula or the battle formula, but another voice. However, in his sea of consciousness, other than the measure formula and the battle formula, was there something else? Who? Who is in my sea of consciousness? Lu Ming shouted with his mind power. "Kid, there's something in your scroll." This time, it was the voice of the measure formula. Painting? Lu Ming instantly thought of Jing Yu's portrait. However, the remnant imprint left behind by Jing Yu had already vanished. The portrait had also vanished. Were there other existences in this painting? "Brat, what's there to be surprised about? Ever since you obtained Jing Yu's portrait, I've always been there. During this period of time, I've been observing you. It's just that you didn't notice." That strange voice from before sounded again. Indeed, it came from Jing Yu's portrait. Then, to Lu Ming's surprise, an arm stretched out from the portrait. However, this arm was not made of flesh and blood. Instead, it was a bone. It was pitch black in color, as if it had been polished from black jade. Following that, Lu Ming saw a skeleton crawl out from Jing Yu's portrait. It was a jet black skeleton. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. The old man's sword light kept slashing on the ice chains, and sparks flew everywhere. The ice chains kept shaking, and sword marks appeared on it. However, it still managed to block the old man's attack. At the same time, a frightening chill began to spread toward the dark-skinned old man, causing his body to involuntarily shiver. Secret technique, ice shackles. That little brat actually managed to cultivate the ice shackles. The dark-skinned old man was shocked. He then let out a low roar, and an even more terrifying divine power exploded from his body. Sword light kept bursting out, shaking off the ice chains that were wrapping around him, and charged towards Lu Ming. World extinguishing 3 strikes, moon slashing. Lu Ming shouted, and used his strongest move. A crescent-shaped attack flew towards the dark-skinned old man. Boom! The two of them collided once again, and a terrifying force exploded between them. "Retreat, quickly retreat." The others on the side were shocked, and they quickly retreated. A few of the weaker ones were killed by the force that overflowed from the collision. What terrifying strength! Who are these two people? They are stronger than many territorial lords. Many people were shocked. Perhaps only the most terrifying territorial lords on the ancient god planet could match up to such combat strength. Lad, go to hell. The dark-skinned old man roared, and a steady stream of divine power poured into his body. The sword light exploded, and Lu Ming's body shook violently, and he flew backwards, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Now's the time, Lu Ming's eyes moved, and another ice chain flew out from his body. This was the last ice chain, and also the strongest one. It was the one that had been refined by the mysterious liquid to reach the great accomplishment stage. Chapter 2773. The dark-skinned old man obviously did not expect Lu Ming to have such a move. He was slightly shocked, and at the same time, he changed the direction of his sword and slashed at the ninth ice chain. However, when his battle sword slashed at the ninth ice chain, his face suddenly changed. This was because he felt an extremely terrifying chill spreading towards him, as if it wanted to freeze his blood and even his divine power. Clatter! The other ice chains shook and wrapped around the dark-skinned old man, wanting to trap him. This kid has such a shocking method. The dark-skinned old man was shocked and no longer cared about hiding his identity. At this moment, he erupted with all his strength. Boom! His body was like a volcano erupting, his divine power boiling and attacking the chill on his body. At the same time, sword light burst out and swept away the ice chains that were wrapping around him. However, he could not continue to disguise himself even after using all his strength. His physique and muscles began to change, revealing his original appearance. Le Zhong! Lu Ming roared, his killing intent cold. That's right, this dark-skinned old man was Le Zhong. He had disguised himself and seemed to have cultivated some kind of secret technique, even his aura was hidden. Lu Ming did not recognize him at all. Lu Ming, you really surprised me. You actually forced me to reveal my true appearance. However, you still have to die. Le Zhong shouted coldly, his eyes extremely cold. Today, he must kill Lu Ming. He roared in his heart. Lu Ming was too terrifying. He was so young, and his cultivation was only at the first level of true God realm, but his combat strength was unimaginably terrifying. A first level of true God realm was only injured but not killed under his continuous attacks. If he did not see it with his own eyes, it would be hard to believe such combat strength. If Lu Ming was given a period of time to grow, it would be incredible. After a period of time, he would probably die in Lu Ming's hands. Therefore, he must kill Lu Ming. Kill! Le Zhong erupted with all his strength and charged towards Lu Ming. Go! This time, Lu Ming turned and left. He was too lazy to fight with Le Zhong. With his current strength, he was indeed not Le Zhong's opponent. Even if he used all his means, he was still no match for Le Zhong. Since he was no match for Le Zhong, it would be too stupid to continue fighting. This old man, I'll kill him later. Lu Ming said inwardly. As long as he obtained the ancient divine flower, his divine body would transform, and his combat strength would increase by 4 times. And as Lu Ming cast the 9 heavens Kunpeng technique and rushed toward the depths of the valley. You want to leave? No matter where you go today, I will kill you. And of course, there were also others who were rushing towards the depths of the valley. At the same time, there was a very strong energy fluctuation. Suddenly, Lu Ming could not help but stop in his tracks. He widened his eyes and stared ahead in a daze. Kid, why aren't you running? Le Zhong chased after him quickly. Before he could finish his words, he also stopped. His eyes were wide open as he looked in front of him in disbelief. Not only the two of them, but the other people who had rushed here also had the same reaction. They were dumbfounded and tongue-tied. Then, they were filled with greed. That was because there were ancient divine flowers in front of them. There was a piece of flat land in front of them. There was a valley in each of the 8 directions. The valley that Lu Ming and the others were in was only one of the 8. The 8 valleys converged here. The intersection was filled with ancient god flowers. God knows how many ancient divine flowers there were. It was like a sea of ancient divine flowers, swaying and dazzling people. Gulp. Even Lu Ming could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. He did not expect that there would be so many ancient divine flowers here. 10,000? 20,000? Anyway, it was hard to count. Ha ha ha, I'm rich, I'm rich. There are so many ancient divine flowers. How much has my divine body improved? Everyone finally reacted. Immediately, many people rushed toward the ancient divine flowers. Their eyes were red as they rushed toward the ancient divine flowers. Ancient divine flowers. Le Zhong's eyes were filled with greed. He did not care about killing Lu Ming. He also rushed toward the ancient divine flowers. His greed for the ancient divine flowers was stronger than his desire to kill Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming also rushed forward. He formed a big hand with his divine power and tried to grab an ancient divine flower. However, he did not manage to grab it. Runes appeared at the root of the ancient divine flower, forming a halo that shrouded the ancient divine flower and protected it. It's protected by a formation. This ancient divine flower is protected by a formation. Lu Ming was shocked. He then tried to grab another ancient divine flower, but the result was the same. When Lu Ming grabbed it, runes appeared at the root of the ancient divine flower and formed a halo that shrouded the ancient divine flower. Damn it, what's going on? I can't pick it. Damn it, this ancient divine flower is protected by a formation. The others also shouted. They could not pick it, not even one. All the ancient divine flowers were protected by a formation. This made everyone's face extremely gloomy. It was like a mountain of gold in front of them, but they could not get it. Amazing, amazing. This is a formation. All the ancient divine flowers are planted in the formation core. This formation has so many formation cores. What is the person who set it up trying to do? In the sea of consciousness, the black skeleton sat on the scroll and muttered to itself. It saw everything that was happening outside. They're all planted in the formation core. The eyes inside also narrowed. Lu Ming naturally heard the black skeleton's words, and his heart was in turmoil. If that was the case, then this formation was incredible. How many formation cores did it have? The others jumped around crazily to pick the other ancient divine flowers, but without exception, all of them failed. No one could pick an ancient divine flower. At this moment, more and more people came from behind. When they saw the sea of ancient divine flowers, they were also shocked and joined the team to pick them. Naturally, no one could pick a single flower. Swoosh! 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 Suddenly, a terrifying sound of something breaking through the air came from all directions. Those were arrows. They were like bolts of black lightning, shooting toward Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming was shocked. He took out his long spear and swung it continuously, deflecting a few arrows. However, not everyone reacted so quickly. There were screams at the scene. Many people were shot by the arrows and died tragically in the sea of ancient divine flowers. Chapter 2774. Who's there? Someone shouted and looked around. Then, everyone was shocked. At some point, a large group of people had appeared on the cliffs of the Four Directions Valley. These people held large bows in their hands and stood on top of the cliff, surrounding them. Trespassers of the ancient gods' mountain will die, said a young man standing on a cliff to the north. His face was cold and stern. You're right. You are the descendants of the ancient gods? Someone exclaimed. The others were also shocked. Descendants of the ancient gods? Hadn't the descendants of the ancient gods disappeared for countless years? Legend had it that the descendants of the ancient gods had been destroyed, leaving only the ancient gods' mountain. Was it all fake? Could it be that the descendants of the ancient gods had been hiding in the ancient gods' mountain all these years? If the descendants of the ancient gods hadn't been destroyed, why hadn't they appeared for so many years? Many people were full of questions. However, the descendants of the ancient gods obviously wouldn't answer them. Kill! The young man on the northern cliff waved his hand and gave the order. All of a sudden, the descendants of the ancient gods drew their bows and shot arrows at Lu Ming and the rest, emitting a terrifying whistling sound. Anyway, the ancient god flower was protected by the array, so they weren't afraid of hurting it. Puff! Puff! People were constantly shot and died on the spot. Blood flowed all over the ground. Many of the descendants of the ancient gods were powerful. Most of them were in the true god realm, and the arrows they shot were very powerful. Except for those at the level of the territorial lords, the others couldn't block 100% of the arrows. Who cares if they're descendants of the ancient gods? Charge and kill them! Someone shouted and rushed toward the cliff to attack the descendants of the ancient gods. Don't overestimate yourself. Get down! Get lost! On top of the cliff, a few burly figures appeared. Their muscles bulged like horned dragons coiling around them. They were filled with power. These people were very powerful. When they attacked, the sky shook violently. Those who had rushed towards the cliff were all shaken down. Even those who were at the domain lord level were shaken down. Bang! Lu Ming stepped on the ground and rushed toward the eastern cliff like a spear. Get down! A middle-aged man charged at Lu Ming. He punched out several times, and a terrifying fist energy crushed down on Lu Ming. Strong, shockingly strong. Although this middle-aged man only had the cultivation of true god realm, he had definitely reached the peak of level 9 true god realm. His battle prowess was not weaker than Lu Zhong's at all. In fact, he was even stronger. Lu Ming erupted with all his strength and swept out with his spear. However, the opponent's fist energy crushed down on him. Lu Ming's body was pushed back as if he was being crushed by a mountain and fell into the valley. What powerful strength! Lu Ming felt his entire body go numb. The blood in his body boiled, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He realized that the strength of the other party's divine energy wasn't too bad, but the strength of the other party's divine body was frightening. It was much stronger than other cultivators. When they worked together, their battle prowess was extremely powerful. Descendant of the ancient god. Lu Ming concluded that the other party was definitely a descendant of the ancient god. Legend had it that when the Eldritch universe was first formed, a group of ancient gods were naturally born. This group of ancient gods could be said to be the earliest life forms in the Eldritch universe. The earliest ancient gods were born with terrifying strength. In particular, their divine bodies were so strong that they were abnormally strong. These earliest and most ancient gods were the ancient gods. As for the descendants of the ancient gods on the ancient god planet, it was said that they were the descendants of an ancient god. However, their bloodline was extremely thin, and their divine bodies were still stronger than ordinary people. For a moment, no one was able to rush out of this place. Behind them, there were still people rushing over. Soon, more than 10,000 people who had entered the ancient gods' mountain had all gathered here. Almost everyone is here. Let's send them on their way. On the northern cliff, the young man said coldly. He then raised his arm and his voice resounded throughout the area. Activate the Grand Array and kill all outsiders who trespass on the ancient gods' mountain. Activate the Grand Array. Someone shouted. Buzz! Buzz! Then, dense runes appeared on the cliff walls in all directions. Runes also appeared at the roots of the ancient god flower under Lu Ming's feet. Endless runes intertwined and formed a grand array. This area was shrouded in a blood-red light shield. Lu Ming and the others were all covered by this light shield. The descendants of the ancient gods were outside the light shield. Oh no! Many people's faces changed. They had a bad feeling. Back off! Someone shouted. He no longer cared about the ancient god flower and rushed toward the valley where they came from. All kinds of attacks were directed at the light shield. However, these attacks did not cause any ripples on the light shield. The light shield did not move at all. Attack, attack, more people joined in the attack, but it was useless. Hee, these foolish fellas. To think that they still want to escape. Once they enter this great formation, they are destined to never be able to escape. All of you can die here for me. The young man on the northern cliff sneered. It has begun. Next to the young man, an old man said coldly. At this moment, a blood-red mist suddenly appeared in the light shield. Ah! Someone screamed miserably. This person was shrouded in the blood-red mist. His body began to corrode violently. His flesh and blood quickly melted, and in a few breaths, he turned into a pool of liquid. The people who witnessed this scene were so scared that their insides trembled. Ah! Ah! But soon, more screams were heard. More blood-red mist rose from the ground. Someone was shrouded in the blood-red mist and followed in the footsteps of the previous person. Damn it, damn it! Charge out! I don't want to die. Everyone roared and attacked the light shield madly, but it was useless. The blood-red mist inside the light shield grew denser and denser. Sizzle, Lu Ming was shrouded in a ball of blood-red fog. He circulated his divine power with all his might to resist it. However, even with his sovereign's divine power, there were sizzling sounds of corrosion. If this continued, he would not be able to resist it for long. This mist was extremely terrifying. Even with divine power, it was difficult to resist it. Those with strong cultivations, those above the 7th level of true God, could temporarily block it, but those with weak cultivations could not block it at all. Their protective divine power was corroded, and their bodies were corroded by the blood-red mist. They let out mournful screams, and then turned into a pool of blood-red liquid. At first, those below the 3rd level of the true God realm could not resist, but as the blood-red mist grew denser, those above the 4th level of the true God realm could not resist it. Let me out! Let me out! I don't want to die. Spare me! Many people screamed and begged for mercy. However, the ancient god descendants were indifferent. They were not moved at all. Chapter 2775. Time slowly passed, and the fog became thicker and thicker. Their vision began to be blocked, and their power became stronger and stronger. People were constantly being melted into liquid. The strange thing was that these liquids quickly seeped into the ground and seemed to be absorbed by the ancient god flowers. The ancient god flowers became more and more beautiful. More and more people died. More than 10,000 people came in, but now, there were less than 5,000 people left. People were dying every moment. Chi. Lu Ming's body was surrounded by blood-red fog. His divine power was constantly being corroded. Fortunately, Lu Ming had the quantifying character formula and stored a large amount of divine power. He could always maintain his divine power at its peak state, but this couldn't go on. No matter how much divine power he stored, there would be a moment when it would be exhausted. What should I do? Lu Ming quickly thought of a solution. Incredible, they actually set up such a formation. Someone among the descendants of the ancient gods is very ambitious. At this moment, the black skeleton spoke again. Senior, what did you see? Lu Ming hurriedly asked. Although this formation is mysterious, with my knowledge, I can naturally see through it at a glance. The black skeleton continued proudly, this formation has an ancient god flower planted in every formation core. It's to plan something big. These ancient god flowers will combine with this formation and absorb a large amount of flesh and blood of powerhouses before it can truly be completed. At that time, the person who set up the formation will absorb everyone's ancient god flowers and condense the heart of the ancient god. What a vicious method. Could it be that we were able to come in because someone deliberately tricked us? Lu Ming whispered. At this moment, he thought of a lot of things. Why did a large number of maps of the ancient gods' mountain appear at the same time on the ancient god planet? This was obviously done deliberately by someone to attract all the powerhouses of the ancient god planet. Then, they would lure them here, kill them, and let the ancient god flowers absorb their flesh and blood. After being reminded by the black skeleton, Lu Ming immediately figured everything out. The reason why they could enter the ancient god's mountain was deliberately arranged by someone. The person who arranged all of this was the descendant of the ancient gods. Senior, what is the heart of the ancient god? Lu Ming asked again. Let me tell you. These so-called descendants of the ancient gods actually have very thin bloodlines. They can't even be considered descendants of the ancient gods. Only those who have condensed the ancient god's heart can be considered true descendants of the ancient gods. With the heart of the ancient god, the divine body can continue to grow stronger and stronger. His fighting prowess is so strong that it's simply not something these people can compare with. Black Skeleton explained. Lu Ming suddenly understood. However, it's not that easy to condense the ancient god's heart. I'm afraid it's not enough with just your flesh and blood. Black Skeleton said. If it's not enough, then what's the point of luring us here? Lu Ming was puzzled. If my guess is correct, the person who set up all of this probably had to sacrifice a large number of descendants of the ancient gods. Only by sacrificing a large number of descendants of the ancient gods would that person be able to condense the ancient god's heart. TSK, what a ruthless method. The black skeleton clicked its tongue as if it was admiring it. Lu Ming, on the other hand, was greatly shocked. He even had to sacrifice a large number of descendants of the ancient gods and slaughter his own clansmen to fulfill his wish. Such a method was really vicious. These descendants of the ancient gods are probably still foolishly kept in the dark. They don't know that they don't have long to live. Black Skeleton chuckled. Senior, how do we get out? If this continues, I won't be able to hold on for long. Lu Ming said. In just a short while, the blood-red fog here had already become shockingly dense, and their vision was getting worse and worse. Looking up, they could barely see the figures on the cliff. More and more people were dying. The remaining people were all incomparably terrified. Damn it, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. He roared in the entertainment center, his face incomparably ferocious. He never expected that he would put himself in such a dangerous situation when he chased after Lu Ming. Although his cultivation was at the peak of the 9th level of the true god realm and he could still resist for the time being, he would still die after a long time. He was incomparably terrified. The others were the same. Don't worry, I've already saved you several times. How can I watch you die here? In the future, I still have things for you to do. Black Skeleton said. You've saved me several times. Lu Ming was puzzled. Didn't he just remind him that Lu Zhong wanted to kill him previously? That was only once. Back then, you were besieged by the bloodthirsty demon trees in the plant forest. Who saved you? Jingyu only has a remnant imprint left. How could he have the strength to save you? Black Skeleton berated. Lu Ming suddenly understood. Back then, not long after he joined the Kongxian school, he went to the plant forest with Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, and the others to train. In an abyss, they encountered a group of terrifying bloodthirsty demon trees. They were no match for them at all. At that time, Jingyu's portrait flew out and scared away the bloodthirsty demon trees. It turned out that it was Black Skeleton who made a move. Wait a minute, if he calls Jingyu that guy, then he's not Jingyu. Lu Ming's heart suddenly stirred. He had previously guessed that Black Skeleton was Jingyu. Junior, thanks Senior for saving me. May I know how to address you? Lu Ming asked. You can call me Bone Demon. Black Skeleton said indifferently. Senior Bone Demon, how can I escape? Lu Ming asked. Although the fog formed by this array formation is powerful, I will transfer a force to you that is enough to block the fog outside. However, let me tell you, I don't have much strength left. If you encounter danger in the future, don't expect me to help you. Bone Demon warned. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming immediately thanked him. Let's get through the current crisis first. It won't be too late to talk about the future later. Right at this moment, Bone Demon's body shone. A pitch-black energy surged into Lu Ming's body. A layer of black light immediately appeared on the surface of Lu Ming's body, completely blocking the blood-red fog outside and isolating it from the outside. The pressure on Lu Ming was greatly reduced, and he relaxed. However, this scene was seen by Lu Zhong not far away. This kid can actually completely isolate the blood-red fog. Treasure, this kid must have a treasure on him. I have to snatch it. Lu Zhong roared, his eyes revealing greed. He thought that Lu Ming must have some treasure on him to be able to fend off the blood-colored fog outside. If he could snatch it, he might be able to survive. He quickly rushed towards Lu Ming. This old guy. Lu Ming naturally noticed Lu Zhong, and a strong killing intent flashed in his eyes. Kid, hand over the treasure on you. Lu Zhong lowered his voice, afraid that others would hear him and compete with him. Hand it over your sister, die. Lu Ming shouted and attacked with all his strength. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.